Okay, 'tis the season. Spotify Wrapped. This is always very humbling for me. My numbers are not gonna impress anybody. Um, they don't impress me. That's for sure. I got a long way to go to get to kind of the plateau that I got my sights on. Sort of the next phase. Certainly, I appreciate seeing everyone else's far better stats because it shows me that hey, it's attainable to do a lot better than I'm doing, and kind of put my mind to it and how to achieve that. But let's go through this because there's always something that I get out of analyzing these stats, looking at which songs are succeeding, relatively speaking, and there's often things that surprise me in terms of songs that in my mind I may rank the songs in a particular expectation of quality, like this is a meritocracy of my favorite songs. The songs I'm proudest of should be the ones that succeed the most, but in fact sometimes ones that I don't give as much attention to do really well on their own, and that carries over to other things as well. And sometimes I need to step back and think about why that might be happening and how I might learn from that. Anyway, let's dive into this. So there are 6 total artist accounts under my umbrella. These are all projects that I'm the songwriter for. So there's the primary one, my main project, Cody Weathers and the Men Your Mama Warned You About, where I'm doing current releases. Then my solo project from before I had that band, just Cody Weathers, which is, for instance, where my album Least Significant Failures is housed. Flip Nasty, my longtime band from Denver, where I was the songwriter. That was my vehicle with. And then UFO Catcher, which is sort of my hard rock side project that I began when I moved to Buffalo. That, for instance, has the album Hardwork that I'm very proud of, but is kind of niche. Doesn't get a lot of attention. Sunhouse Branch, which is kind of an experimental side project that I do with a lyricist / poet friend of mine, that most recently has seen some renewed vigor in terms of engagement with our Collusion EP, a political protest EP that we wrote a few months before the 2020 election that for some reason seems to have gained renewed relevance. And then finally, Leaky Joe, which is a side project, sort of a blues, sort of I don't know what to call it, neo-blues side project, and largely inside joke among myself and some other musician friends that in some senses takes off a really surprising life of its own. Someone is playing the absolute pants off of Bang Bang Girl on Amazon Music. And this is similar to the great mystery of someone similarly playing thousands of streams of the song Patience off of Flip Nasty's final double full-length album Flame Cow a few years ago. The sense dried up, but those are the little mysteries that keep me going. The thought that somebody loves Bang Bang Girl and Patience so much that they are obsessed with it, that I've written something that somebody in Germany, in the case of Patience, or somewhere in this world is obsessed with Bang Bang Girl. Anyway, let's dive into these. So, like I said, these are very modest numbers compared to many of the other people you're going to see. And I don't have anything to say about that other than, I got my work cut out for me. So, I have a total of about 2,000 streams across the six different projects for the year. And more than half of those, just over half of those, are for Cody Weathers and the Men Your Mama Warned You About, which is not surprising. There are roughly 1,200 streams for that project, and that covers 165 listeners across 23 countries for 83 total hours. None of the other acts come anywhere close to that. The closest is Flip Nasty with 262 streams, 39 listeners, 12 countries, 16 hours, and then it drops. The next one being Sunhouse Branch, and this is driven. This is a little bit surprising. Sunhouse Branch, I kind of expected to be at the bottom of this heap, but with some good reason that we'll get to in a moment, there's been a surprising resurgence of one song in particular that it almost completely accounts for this. So that's 167 streams, 13 listeners, 4 countries, 8 hours. Then we drop down to my solo project, in getting 130 streams, 18 listeners. Leaky Joe, 69 streams, 8 listeners. UFO Catcher should come right before that with 101 streams, 25 listeners, 9 countries. So I know that all just kind of like started to melt together. For me, the thing that's going to stand out is next. If I were to take the top songs and just kind of start going down the list, like there's a pretty precipitous drop, or it drops into noise before too long here. But the number one song across all 6 of those this year, not surprisingly, because I put a lot of effort into trying to get this onto playlists when it first came out and trying to really push it, is Walk in Your Shoes. That had 368 streams, so basically a stream a day as it averaged out, and most of that is front loaded to close to the release date. That was a song I'm proud of, a song I co-wrote with my friend Nance Vixen, and I'll link to the video of that. I think it's a great song. It's going to be on one of our upcoming albums called Roadhouse. We already know that it's going to be on that album. We're trying to finish the other songs on that album and get it all packaged and ready to go. Should see if hopefully more than one album from us this coming year. There's 2 that are just about done and 2 more that are not far behind it. So we might do as many as 4 albums this year, which would be great, I think. Next was Astoria with 160 streams. And that's also not surprising. That's a song that the prior year had been like the most played song, one that we put similarly a lot of effort into promoting, into getting onto playlists, and put a lot of energy into. And so it sort of reached the self-sustaining level where it's, if you land on my page, that's the one that's that's going to be one of the top 5 songs that's sort of being suggested to you. That does wind up in some playlists, so it's got a little bit of momentum for me. That's good for me. And again, these numbers are not super duper impressive by independent musician standards, but for me, that relatively speaking still is, in terms of my songs, that's a very respectable number. The next one was a surprise, was Trumpelstiltskin from Sunhouse Branch with 115 streams, almost all in the last 2 months. I wonder why. So that song's had a little bit of an organic lift, for whatever, I don't know how it made it into, that sort of consciousness, but it's had a little bit of a bump, obviously, sort of surrounding the election, and I think kind of maybe capitalizing on. There aren't that many listeners, which means, there's 13 listeners, 167 streams for the entire year for Sunhouse Branch, and this is 115 of those streams. So there can't be more than 13 people listening to this song, that it's, like 8 or 9 times a piece. So that's great and also kind of mysterious, and I hope that carries over into some sustained interest in the album itself, or somehow I figure out a way to capitalize on that. The next one's also a little bit of a surprise, although it's been consistently surprising me for a few years since we released this album. So We Just Say is right behind that with 92 streams. Like a very solid year in, year out, getting a lot of streams. And so what that, for instance, to me says is, why haven't I done a video for that song? Clearly this song has more appeal than I think it should. I tend to dismiss it as a song that I like, but that now the chorus is kind of in a mix of French and English, and it's I tend to dismiss that this would ever appeal broadly, but clearly it does for me, relatively speaking. I'll quit saying that, but I probably should respect that. The way that, for instance, Dance With Me Anyway, similarly, was one that it comes in right behind this with 71 streams, and again, it's been consistent year in, year out. That song just has some appeal, so maybe it's just the feel of those is fun. Maybe there's something to be said for that kind of upbeat, those particular kind of grooves are kind of fun and danceable. Maybe that's something I may be thinking about. Right behind that is Mad About You. Again, consistent, doesn't surprise me. This is what I personally consider, it's long been one that has gotten more engagement than I originally thought it would. Like Least Significant Failures, this is one that tested really highly with different kinds of kind of focus groups and sort of songwriting forums that I was in at the time, like GarageBand. But they're now defunct GarageBand. What's it called, GarageBand? No, I can't even remember what it's called. I think it's called GarageBand. Where I thought Best of Days was going to be the clear standout song from Least Significant Failures, but between that forum and other contests that I've entered that have the benefit of giving you like detailed critiques, it comes to light that Mad About You is one that people really understand, dig, and connect with. Best of Days is not one that they have as strong a feeling about. So that's different than my own. Feelings about those songs, and that's something I've just had to internalize. Is okay. That's one that I need to respect that, and sort of flip that in my own mind. That Mad About You is a song that's worth putting some energy into. Right behind that is Along. 63, like that gets a lot of streams just without a lot of effort from me, and again, one that I probably need to have a video for. Like, that could be a good entry point. Clearly there's something about that song that some people come back to and listen to again, or that is somehow sort of piercing the veil of other kinds of algorithms. I don't know how it's getting some visibility, but it's getting some, and to me, I probably need to put a little more energy into promoting that and increasing that, leaning into it. Then Shadows Fall. That's not surprising to me. That's got with a 62. Get You Dirty, a single that we released with 54. It Can't Rain Every Day, 49. Then UFO Catcher's Amazing Grace, 41. The sort of retooled, like taking the traditional Amazing Grace and then also writing some new verses for that particular album. That one comes out with 41. So, and that, which has more than, say, Catnap with 40. Dollface, Flip Nasty with 39, and that's one that I'm not sure why that got a bump, why that particular song got a bump, but that's one that, and this is like the way back version of Dollface, from Songs You Hate version. So that's like our first CD from whatever that was, 1997. So Will I, Flip Nasty version 38, Coyote, the newest version with 37, Dead Man's Blues off of Red Rocket 37, Perfect Love, again, the new version 33, This Broken Heap title track off of that album 33, Bound in Blue 28, How'd I Ever Lose You, a standalone single 27, You Know Me with 26. That's one that's only been out for a couple of weeks, so that's a good strong early showing that it's already on this list, the top 30 or so. Deep with 25, Shiny Dimes, Flip Nasty song with 24, Above It All, that's another Sunhouse Branch song, 21, off of that same Protest EP. Then it's kind of hard to read this number because this season has just begun for the next two, which are Christmas songs, Christmas originals. Christmas is Coming Soon, my collaboration with Connie Pazienza, with 20, which based on on YouTube stats, that's almost my most popular song on YouTube. Not quite, but in terms of recent songs, for sure, it's one that gets a seasonal bump, remains seasonally relevant, and gets good reactions. My Present, another holiday original, with 20. Then No One Could, that's the Flip Nasty version of that, and Wings to Carve with 20. The Menu Mama Warned You About version of that song. And that's it. So, there's a lot to unpack there, and I already kind of walked you through some of my preliminary thoughts about those. I know this is very long. Hopefully that's kind of interesting. I will put together a playlist, and I'll put a link to it in the description or the pinned comment on this video, so that you can listen to these songs either to satisfy your own curiosity or to just help me out. I would love to see these songs get a bump, and these songs kind of become the songs that get kind of become the sort of defining tracks for each of these different acts under my umbrella. You can also, if there's something that you felt on here that you can listen through my catalog, or tell me that, hey, I don't know, don't overlook this one, or you can tell me I'm full of hooey, and I'll probably delete your comment because I delete most negative comments, and I don't care to be talked to in that manner. But that's not who you are. If you stuck around this long, you're not that person. You're one of the good ones. So I respect you, and you're probably one of the people who's already streaming these things. So thank you for listening to my music, because that's really important to me, and it's what it's all about. So enough of this. Back to the gear videos that really drive this channel. Right away. Let's go.